morning. Happy Friday. I hope this message finds you well, safe, and healthy. Welcome to the second edition of Ask Rob. And we do have a great question today, just as we did last week, but I'm super excited I'll get to answer this one. But first, this week's podcast, episode 100. Truly excited about that. That episode is me sharing some gratitude for some people who've been there for me during the podcast. There's some gratitude for those who've all been guests. And yeah, it was just an opportunity to talk about some spiritual things that's changed with me that I really hope you get to enjoy on episode 100. So go check it out. It is out now. What else is going on? Working the National Defense Forum this weekend. And so I'm back into security mode, but it's so funny now because as I was making my way to the security meeting yesterday, I was noticing everyone who was a security guard or security agent, even though they were dressed plainly, so to speak. It was the walk, the hair, everything. And it was standing out to me so much. I started laughing because at one point when I was the security agent, I really thought I blended in well. Like I really thought no one knew. And so seeing it now, the more I step back from it, is the funniest thing ever. The intensity level that everybody has, well, not everybody, but that most has just been hilarious. It really has just been fun. So yeah, more to come on that probably in another podcast. But yeah, the National Defense Forum, so I'll be in my suit and, running around with the badge again, but we'll see. It's going to be fun. The question of the week. It is, why do we think that being in the flow, acting from a place of love, being in the zone, is a synonym of being too kind, not having boundaries, or letting people walk on our feet? I can feel the difference in me, but I would love to hear more about that from you. All right, so I love this question because it gives us an opportunity to really look at some things that we hold very important in our lives, i.e. boundaries. So let me start, because I'm in security mode, with just basic security kind of lingo or talk for this. If you have a property, so a home, you have land around it, all right? And if you have land around it, that's yours, and someone comes onto that land, that is considered trespassing if you did not invite them. So we would call that, trespassing. We're going to say walking all over your feet, as it said in the question, right? So if somebody trespassed, they walk all over your feet, right? That's what I mean. Okay. So in the legal system, so to speak, it is significantly harder to prove trespassing when the lines of boundaries are invisible. Here's what I mean. If I put a camera up at the edge of my property that looks down the line, that camera is going to record everybody who crosses the boundary. The problem is I'm the only one that knows that it's a boundary because I have an invisible way of marking it. If I were to put up a gate, an obstruction, a bar, something that physically stops people from crossing that, they have to think of a way to then cross is a actual boundary. I say that because we create these things in our mind that we call boundaries. But because they're not clearly identified to everyone, you can't really get upset if somebody walks in on it not knowing that it's a boundary, or walking past your property line not knowing it was your property line. When I think of living in this flow and living from a place, and don't get me wrong, I totally understand what you say. I understand it enough that that's how I adopted anger as a way of living my life. It was because of believing that. I think it comes from trying to protect ourselves at some point. This is more of the spiritual answer. I think it comes down to trying to protect ourselves, and thinking that if I set boundaries, then no one will walk on me. But that's not necessarily true. And when we're talking about that, you actually get less of it when you are showing up in love, when you are being in your flow, when you are in your zone, because that energy typically resonates with people. So when you are in that zone, people don't tend to walk on you. They don't tend to push past your boundaries. It's actually when you're out of that zone, you're sitting back thinking about it, that actually happens. Again, that's just my opinion on it, but I do understand what you mean. I would offer this. I am trying to find less and less things that pull me out of this flow and love for life. And so if thinking somebody is walking on me is one of those things, I'm not willing to come out of this feeling for that. In your reality of life, walk on. Walk on. Walk all over me in the Rob in your reality of life. But Rob, this life, that won't stop me from showing up for people. That won't stop me from my flow, right? That's how I look at it. Hope that was helpful. Again, thank you for submitting the questions, and I'll see y'all next week with another Ask Rob.